And as this is happening, also the IDF says that its Air Force has struck over 20 Hamas targets, command posts, but this is obviously a drop in the bucket compared to what is expected to be taking place in the coming hours.
And to that point, exactly, Colonel Yakubovich, obviously, so many questions to be asked, but at this point in time, when we're not even at the stage of the Israeli counterattack or response, or you name it as you wish, but what might or is already complicating the situation even further is the issue of Israeli civilians kidnapped into the Gaza Strip. Hence, every Israeli attack of the Gaza Strip at the moment must take into consideration this factor as well.
Well, we need to understand that Hamas planned this operation, I believe, a few months ago. Now this is a large scale of an operation, well planned. Probably hundreds of people in Gaza knew about this operation, and this is the biggest achievement Hamas achieved.
Yeah.
And this is our biggest failure. Now, yes, we need, and actually the political level, the IDF will consider any action, any reaction, taking or understanding that there are probably, those are numbers coming out from Gaza.
Right, right.
Between 35 to 40 dead, alive people in Gaza. Civilians, Israelis. I'm talking about Israelis. I'm talking about
Gaza,
soldiers and civilians. I even published on my social media a video of an old woman that I think she's ill. She doesn't even know where she is. And she is driving a car with some Hamas terrorists inside Gaza. Now, in any future reaction, or in any reaction that Israel will react, it will be taken under consideration. We need to understand that this is not the event of Gilad Shalit. This is totally different. How will Israel react? I think that I think that it will take time, okay? We need to understand it will take time, because any action will have a huge impact on the people who were kidnapped and they are inside Gaza.
I'm listening to you, and I remain speechless. Ambassador Paznel, again, in a bid to try and get a clearer sense of the situation. The Security Cabinet convening this hour, nearly 7 hours after this war broke out earlier this morning. What are we expecting from the senior political and security leadership at this point in time?
We are expecting the answer to this attack, this unprecedented attack against Israel. You know, when I woke up this morning and I heard the siren, it brought me back 50 years ago, when Yom Kippur War. We were surprised then. We have been surprised today. From the point of view of Hamas, this first day is a success. And we have to see that the continuation will be a success for Israel. And I think that the Prime Minister was right when he said that Israel is at war. And I'm not convinced that this war will be only against Hamas. There is a possibility of the war spreading also to other fronts. I heard already all the muezzin in Jerusalem calling for riots in Jerusalem, like we had 3-4 years ago. I don't know whether the Hezbollah will move or not. We have to be prepared for something bigger than we have seen until now with Gaza. And I hope also that it will have the right political consequences. Because let's not fool ourselves. Here, there was a big mistake on our part. A mistake on part of our intelligence, which was not able to read correctly the intent of the Hamas, and the mistake at the political level that also did not read.
Underestimating the enemy's ability, the enemy's will.
Absolutely. We cannot hide that. We cannot hide that. And I do think that this is an occasion today to repair the wrong would have been done to the country in the last 10 months. this is the day that Prime Minister Netanyahu should call on the opposition to join a national unity government, just like Golda Meir did in '67 when she invited Begin and Dayan. Today, after this meeting of the Security Council, Netanyahu meets Lapid.
The opposition leader, yeah.
And the opposition leader. And I know it's only for a briefing of what went. No, it should be to call Lapid and Gantz, enter immediately into a national unity government, because we are in an emergency.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Ariella Saron, again, we need to reiterate, to try and explain the surreal situation that is happening as we speak down south. Still, several Israeli communities are under siege, under the control of Hamas terrorists. The security forces, 7 hours or a bit more after this war broke out, still fighting to regain control. What can you tell us about what are we to see from the IDF in the coming hours?
Well, Eli, as you mentioned, we're nearly 8 hours into this, and first of all, we have to take the job of informing the public in these very difficult times, because unfortunately Israel's leaders and the heads of Israel's emergency services are not doing that enough. Till this time, we still don't know the extent of Israelis kidnapped, dead or alive, inside Gaza. These are not just soldiers, these are civilians. Unfortunately, I've seen multiple videos. We should use this opportunity to call on our viewers not to forward unauthenticated videos that could cause further mis and disinformation. This requires a lot of responsibility at these points, and we are relying our reports on very scarce official reports that are coming out. But yes, as you mentioned, the current situation, in addition to an unknown amount of Israeli civilians and soldiers currently held by Hamas inside the Gaza Strip, there are multiple firefights taking place in a few Israeli border towns and communities. Large amounts of emergency forces are there, and all the while barrages of rockets continue. According to the IDF, the latest figures are over 2,200 rockets launched from almost 8 hours ago during this day towards Israel, but that number is obviously much higher. Yes?
We're seeing live images of the Gaza skyline at the moment as the Israeli Air Force is starting to target Hamas positions there. Likely to assume only the very beginning of the Israeli response.
And it's likely also that many of these command posts are empty, whether the officials in there...
Hamas leadership is almost for certain underground.
Either they're underground, or they participated in the infiltration into Israel and are either in Israeli streets laying dead, or have managed to go back into the Gaza Strip.
And we're nearing the end of our broadcast. So Colonel Yakubovich, I do want to get back to you, because we're focusing naturally on the fiasco that is happening down south at the moment, this emergency situation there. But there is fear that other fronts will be reignited from the West Bank through Jerusalem, Israel, Israeli towns elsewhere, and the northern front, of course.
Well, Eli, first of all, you said at least 3 times that you're surprised. I think that nobody should be surprised. As we've seen, the northern scenario carried out in the south. So we saw that in the north.
The northern playbook, yeah.
No, the northern scenario. This is exactly what Hezbollah, trained. The last big training, I think 2 months ago, they trained, and that was exactly what was carried out in Gaza. Now, Hamas, and this is the deception, well coordinated with Hezbollah, well coordinated with Iran, and the problem, and just listen carefully to what the Minister of Defense said, Yoav Gallant, at the beginning of this morning, a few hours ago. We need to make sure that this is the only arena.
Right.
The problem is not Jerusalem. The problem is not the mixed towns in Israel. The problem is to make sure that the triangle, okay, of Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, maybe Iran, okay, will not be, let's say, the unity of the arenas. To make sure that the IDF will deal only with one arena. The moment the IDF will make sure that this is our reality and the threat is only the, let's say, the Gaza arena, I believe that Israel will start dealing with Gaza. But as an expert, my recommendation